Here we're going to cover factor and standard form. So what I mean by standard form typically is known as ax squared plus bx plus c. There were other cases where other variables were used. So another example would be am squared plus bm plus c, or h squared plus bh plus c. If you take a closer look, you see how I underline only the a's, the b's, and the c. So when we're factoring in standard form, we're mainly going to focus on the a's, b, and c. Here it says the values of a, b, and c are simply numbers. So when you're identifying the values of a, b, c, you should only write it as numbers. So number such as a equals 4, or b equals -5, and c equals 2. So those are examples of me giving you number values for a, b, and c. Next, we're going to go using this information on how to factor in standard form. In our first example, we have x squared minus 5x minus 24. So what I'm going to do first is identify the ABC values. So my A value is always the number in front of x squared, which is an invisible 1. My B value is the one that's in front of x, so -5, because it's minus. And my C value is a number without variables, so it's going to be -24. So once we get our ABC values, next is we're going to use the x table. So in our x table, what we're going to label in the top part is where it's A times C, and then the bottom part it's B. So on the top part where it says A times C, meaning A times C, so 1 times -24 would be -24, and our B value would be -5 down here. So what we do on the side is first we're going to identify factors of the top part and then the sum or difference of the bottom part. So factors of A times C, and then I'm going to identify sum and difference. Alright, so factors for -24, an example would be -1 times 24. Another one would be -2 times 12. Another one would be -3 times 8. So let's take a look at the sum and difference between these two factors. So what I mean by sum and difference is if I were to combine a -1 and +24, since it's opposite sign, the difference would be a +23. We're looking for sum and difference of -5, which doesn't match with this, so I'm not going to use this one. Next, we're going to go with -2 combined with +12. That's a +10. Nope, not using that one. Moving on to the next one. We're going to check with the sum and difference between -3 and +8. That's going to give us a +5. It's almost identical, but this is a +5, this is a -5. We're not going to use that one. So what happened if I were to switch the sign? So instead of -3, +3 times -8. If I were to find the sum and difference between these two numbers, +3 and -8, it would be -5. So these two factors right here is what I'm going to use. So 3 here, negative 8 here. Now it doesn't matter if you put the negative here or the 3 here, just as long as I'm using the correct factors. Now once I find the proper factors, which are these two, all I'm going to do is write in factor form. So x first, because that's the variable. Since this is a positive 3, I'm going to put plus 3. Next, I'm going to put another x. Since it's negative 8, I'm going to put minus 8 and put it in parentheses. And then that will be our final answer. So the factors for x squared minus 5x minus 24 is x plus 3 times x minus 8. Now how would you check that? You can FOIL or use the box method. When I FOIL, I should have the same answer, which I'm going to do right here. So x times x is x squared. X times negative 8 will be negative 8x. Then 3 times x plus 3x. Then positive 3 times negative 8 would be negative 24. Then I'm just going to combine like terms, bring down to x squared. Negative 8x plus 3x will be negative 5x. Bring down to minus 24. So my answer matches with the example. So therefore, these two factors are the correct answer. Alright, in our second example, we have x squared plus 13x plus 36. So my a value is the number that's in front of x squared, which is this invisible 1. My b value is the number that's in front of x, so positive 13. And my c value is the number without variable, so positive 36. So in our x table, we're going to do a times c. So 1 times 36, positive 1 times positive 36, positive 36. And then b is 13. Alright, next, first we're going to identify factors of a times c and then sum or difference. So let's identify factors for 36. We can do 1 times 36, 2 times 18, 3 times 12, 4 times 9, and can't do 5. 5 doesn't go in 36, but 6 can, so 6 times 6. 7 doesn't go in 36. 8 doesn't go in 36. We don't have to do 9 because we have 9 right here. 10 doesn't go in 36. 11 does not go in 36. 12 does, but we already have 12 here. So I think we have all the factors for 36. Now let's find the sum between these two factors. Sum and difference. Well, since it's a positive 1 and a positive 36, it's going to be a sum, which will be 37. Positive 2 combined with positive 18, that would be the sum of 20. Positive 3 and positive 12, that would be the sum of 15. Positive 4 and positive 9, that would be the sum of 13. And positive 6 with positive 6, that's the sum of 12. Now taking a look, the only one that we want is the one that has the sum of b, 13. So this one right here So therefore, we're going to use these two factors. So on the side, I'm going to write, and again, the order does not matter, so I can simply write 9 first, positive 9, and positive 4. So once I identify the proper factors for 36, so that means I'm going to use 9 and 4 in our factor form. So again, since in our example we are using x, I'm going to write x first. Since it's a positive 9 plus 9, put it in parentheses, put in another x, it's a positive 4, so plus 4, put it in parentheses. So this is our final answer. And again, if you want to double check, FOIL or use the box method and see if it matches with the example. If it does not, that means that you didn't FOIL or use the box method correctly. But if you did, that means that the factors you have are not correct, and then you need to double check which one is the proper factors to use in order to get the correct final answer. In our third example, we have x squared minus 19x plus 18. So let me identify the ABC values. A is always the number in front of x squared, so invisible 1. B is in front of x, so minus 19, so negative 19 for B. C, plus 18, so positive 18. So for our x table, A times C, so 1, positive 1 times positive 18 is positive 18, and our B value is negative 19. Alright, next we're going to write out factors for AC, meaning factors for positive 18. So we can do 1 times 18, 2 times 9, 3 times 6, can't use 4, can't use 5, we're already using 6, 7 does not go in 18, 8 does not go in 18, we are using 9, 10 does not go in 18, 11 does not go in 18, 12 does not. So I think we have the factors for positive 18. So let's take a look. 1, positive 1 and positive 18, that was going to be a sum of 19. Positive 2 and positive 9, that would be a sum of 11. Positive 3 and positive 6, that's going to be a sum of 9. But as I'm looking at B, I notice that ours is negative 19 and our sum is positive numbers only. So that means we have not finished identifying all the factors for positive 18. So what other factors could we use for positive 18? Well, if a positive 1 times a positive 18 will give you positive 18, then negative 1 times negative 18 can give you positive 18. Negative 2 times negative 9 will also give you positive 18. Negative 3 times negative 6 will also give you positive 18. Next, we're going to combine our factors together. So negative 1 combined with negative 18, that will be negative 19. Negative 2 combined with negative 9, that's negative 11. Negative 3 combined with negative 6, that will be negative 9. So instead of actually being 3 factors for positive 18, a total of 6 factors for positive 18. So we have to be very careful. If our C value or A times C value is a positive number, that means it's just not positive factors we could use, but we could use negative factors. So taking another look at which factors to use, the only one we're going to use is the one that matches with B, which is right here. So therefore, we're going to use these two factors, -1 and -18. So -1 here and -18 here. So those are the two factors that multiply into positive 18, and then when we combine them, the sum will be -19. So these are the two factors we're going to use. So I'm going to write out our answer. So x, since it's -1, -1, put it in parentheses. And then our second x, since it's -18, it's going to be -18, and put it in parentheses. And then that should be our final answer. And if you want to double check, FOIL or use the box method and make sure your answer matches with the example. If it does not, that means double check your work. If you FOIL and use the box method correctly, then double check on the factors that you use. But here, for the example x squared minus 19x plus 18, the final answer is x minus 1 times x minus 18. These are the factors for the example.